Hello everyone, it's Seiji and today I will be doing a Japanese classics book haul. Now I have actually slowed down a bit with regards to buying books just because my reading speed can't keep up with all of the books, but these are actually books that I have bought quite a while ago but just never showed you all, so I thought why not do it today. Anyway, before I start, I would just like to quickly show you what I'm wearing today. This is a jumpsuit that I got from Miss Patina quite recently actually, and it has a cactus print, and that makes me incredibly happy. Okay, let's start with the books. The first one is Botchan by Natsume Soseki, and this was translated from the Japanese to the English by J. Kon. I got this one right after I had read Soseki's novel called Kokoro, which I did a full review for, link in the description box. I really just enjoyed that classic, and so I thought it would be nice to also read some of Soseki's earlier works, and so I got Botchan since it was the fourth piece he had written. This one, by the way, is extremely popular in Japan, seeing that it is assigned reading in many Japanese schools. The book focuses on morality and is centered around a young and modern man from Tokyo. After the death of his parents, he is sent to the extremely traditional Matsuyama district in the south of Japan to work as a mathematics teacher. Botchan is cynical, rebellious, and immature. His pupils play tricks on him, and the rest of the teaching staff is described as vain and immoral, and they threaten to have a bad influence on Botchan. The book follows Botchan as he tries to find his place in the world. It's a very short read, it's a little under 150 pages, so it's nothing you can't finish in one sitting. I am also looking to get Soseki's novel called I Am a Cat in the future. This was the first book that he had ever written, and basically the main character is a cat, and it describes the lives of the Japanese people around it. So it sounds really interesting and unique. Then I also have Dandelions, written by Yasunari Kawabata and translated from the Japanese to the English by Michael Emmerich. This book follows a character called Ineko who starts to lose the ability to see certain things. It begins with not being able to see a ping pong ball, but then it is her fiancé who she can't see. The doctors call it body blindness, and so Ineko gets put in a psychiatric clinic in order for her to recover. And while she is there, her mother and fiancé wonder if her condition is a form of madness or love. This book really interests me, especially because quite recently I read The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, and both of these works deal with similar themes of the disappearance of objects and the loss of meaning of these things in the minds of people. Another book that I have is Territory of Light, written by Yuko Tsushima and translated from the Japanese to the English by Geraldine Harcourt. I really want to read this book, especially because it was written by the daughter of one of the most famous Japanese authors of all time, Osamu Dazai. I myself have read and reviewed two of his works, link in the description box, namely The Setting Sun and No Longer Human, and I enjoyed both. So when I found out that his daughter had work translated to the English, I was like, okay, I need to get this. And so I did. Territory of Light is a story about a young woman who gets left behind by her husband and tries to start a new life in Tokyo. We follow along as she tries to raise her 2-year-old daughter all by herself. The juxtaposition in this book is that the apartment in which she lives is filled with light that streams through the windows. However, she finds herself plummeting into darkness, becoming more and more unstable and untethered. And as the months come and go and as the seasons turn, she has to confront all that she has lost and what she will become. To me, the synopsis just sounds incredibly enticing, and I can already see parallels between this novel and Tsushima's life. Seeing that her father abandoned her and her mother when she was about 1 or 2 years old, after which he committed suicide with his lover. Then finally I have The Frolic of the Beast Beasts, written by Yukio Mishima and translated from the Japanese to the English by Andrew Clare. Mishima was an incredibly well-known and queer Japanese author. Loads of his novels have been translated to English, and I actually have a couple of his other works on my shelves as well, which I hope I'll be able to talk about in the future. Anyway, The Frolic of the Beasts is a story that follows Koji. He is a young student who has fallen in love with the beautiful and enigmatic Yuko. The only thing is that she's already married to a literary critic and womanizer called Ippei. Tormented by desire and anger, Koji is driven to a violent act that will bind this terrible and strange love triangle for the rest of their lives. Having read Mario Benedetti's Who Among Us, which I also did a review for, I have really come to enjoy love triangles, and this one sounds really interesting. Well, that was it for the book haul. I actually still wanted to quickly talk about some books that I am interested in getting in the future. Okay, so the first one is The Night on the Galactic Railroad and Other Stories from Ihatov, written by Kenji Miyazawa and translated from the Japanese to the English by Julianne Neville. Miyazawa was a 20th century novelist and poet of children's literature. He is particularly known for his sensitivity and symbolic writing, and his use of the galaxy as a metaphor for the concepts of faith, purity, and self-sacrifice. Then I also have Toddler Hunting and Other Stories, written by Kono Taeko and translated from the Japanese to the English by Lucy Lower. This also happens to be a short story collection. It is centered around unhappy women in post-war Japan and is said to contain disquieting scenes and characters who are all teetering on self-disillusion, especially in the context of intimate relationships. I am particularly interested in this book because it was written by a woman. The most popular modern Japanese classics, at least the ones that are well known amongst the English readership, were mainly written by men, and so I thought it would be nice to try and balance that out for myself by seeking out more female writers. And that is why I also have my eyes set on Masks by Fumiko Enchi and In the Shade of Spring Leaves by Higuchi Ichio. Masks was translated from the Japanese to the English by Juliet Winters Carpenter, and the story is about a mother called Miyako Togana. After her son's death, Miyako takes an increasing interest in the personal affairs of his wife Yasuko. Absolutely devastated by her loss, she manipulates the relationships between Yasuko and two men who have fallen in love with her. Hidden in the shadows is Miyako's disabled daughter, who has her own role to play in the schemes of her mother. I honestly don't know what to expect from this story, but it sounds really interesting. Then finally, I have some work from Higuchi Ichio, who was one of the most prominent female writers of the Meiji era, despite having passed away at the young age of 24. In the Shade of Spring Leaves is a biography of Ichio written by Robert Lyon Stanley. It's interlaced with excerpts of her diary, and the book itself also contains 9 short stories written by her that have been translated by Dan Lee. And yeah, those were all of the books that I wanted to talk about. Please do let me know if any of these piqued your interest or if you have already read any of these. Either way, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy the content that I make on my channel, perhaps consider joining my Patreon. I run a monthly book club where we read diverse classics. It's loads of fun. You can also just support me by donating a coffee or just by liking, subscribing and commenting. Either way, thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.